out in the dark, could be anywhere, but usually a natural setting. Sometimes walking the dogs, I'll see things.
I didn't do it anyway. There. It's all about the timing. Welcome to Dogman Teepee Hunting, and if you're going to be listening to this, it'll be on the Interdimensional Voyagers podcast. And happy Easter. So, it's Friday as well. It's brilliant Friday and Easter. See chocolate and get morbidly obese. Yes, why not? Let's do it. I'm halfway there already. So that's good. Excellent. Marvelous. I hope you had a good week, everyone. I hope you had fun and worked hard and, kind of, just done the usual stuff that you do at work. What's happening with my camera? Let's have a look. What's going on here? What is going on here? Can't see my... Oh, there you go. Yeah. New t-shirt. This t-shirt is the missing t-shirt. Get a better view, I think, on that one. I'll show that. So, yeah, so you've got got Dogman, Bigfoot. We've also got Owlman of Mornan. Yeah, because it's in the UK. What else? Yeah, UFO. So yeah, quite like that one. Missing t-shirt, this one. I'll tell you why, because we Roxy B bought it for us, which is lovely. And then I went and hung it up. So I went and put a wardrobe, because we've got a kind of like a wardrobe with a clothes hanging up that we built ourselves, a bit like the bed base. So everything kind of rocks and kind of, it's not quite it, but it works. It's functional, and it saves a few bob. So why not? You know, I had the timber, so just do it. But it's I put it up there, hung it up in amongst all the other clothes. And then when I wanted it, I wanted to find it. Do you think I could find it? No. And then Roxy Powers, she's usually she can find whatever. Women have got a knack, and I don't know where this comes from. They could find a sock to pair up in a desert. Maybe that's not quite right. In the in the middle of New York, they could find a sock to pair up. It's just incredible. Stuff they can find, just like straight. I just lose my patience. I lose my sh like that. Oh no, I'll get a new pair. Doesn't matter. Yeah, so a lot of times I go about with odd socks because they're a nightmare trying to match up. But yeah, leave it in the comments if you have a problem with your socks, because it's good to share. Um, anyway, yeah, I hope you're all okay, and thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. Let me take this. Let me just sort this out. Where are we? Where are we? Let me sort that one out because I don't need that at the moment because I'm just talking absolute rubbish at the moment. So I don't need that because that's only just sort of a kind of a bit of a warning. That's all. Right. This week we are going to talk about mind melds, like Klingon mind melds. So basically, we're going to be talking about mind speak. Yeah, from Dogman, Bigfoot. Yeah, you know the score. You get witnesses, you get people that say they had mind speak. I've had it as well, and I'm going to level with you this show. I'm actually going to level with you about my mind speak that I've had. Okay, I've had it quite a few times, um, and call me crazy, call me nuts. That's fine. There'd be nothing new there really for me, but it is what it is. And it's one of these things where kind of you experience it yourself, and if no one else experiences it, they're not going to believe you. They're not going to believe you. But that doesn't matter, because what does matter, what is the most important thing, yeah, about any kind of experience, is why it's happening. You know, right? Here we go. I've got a few things. I prepared a little bit of a doodah. Okay, so like kind of a script thing here, but it's not. I always play it by ear. I always wing it. I don't quite know how I get through it, but I do. Right, but I did prepare a little bit of because this subject is very complicated, isn't it? And I don't want to make it complicated. It's Friday. It's Easter. We've got like 4 days off. So, we don't need complicated. We don't really. We just want to eat chocolate and kind of just watch the stream the latest stuff, and boom, that's it. Just switch off. So what this is going to be is kind of like a lot of this is going to be um input from you guys. Oh, that up there, if you can see that, right? That I tried putting up, okay, and I can't take it down now. But that's I wanted it just to come up on the beginning, because I thought that's nice, and then put the logo up. But I can't seem to take it down. But anyway, yeah, that's the buy me a coffee thing. But don't feel obligated, okay? But chai latte be lovely, thank you. Um, right, interesting facts about Easter. Let's kick this off, yeah. Right, so um, no mention of Easter is in the Bible. Okay. The word Easter itself doesn't appear in the New Testament. Isn't a word borrowed from it's a word borrowed from pagan traditions, specifically the Anglo-Saxon goddess Istra, and later adopted by Christians to mark the resurrection of Jesus. The Bible, particularly the Old Testament, contains prophecies that were fulfilled by Jesus, including his suffering, death, and resurrection. Do you know, don't you find it a shame, like, with kids nowadays, they're all about the eggs, aren't they? But kind of it's a shame because um, they don't know what they stand for. I find a pity, and I find it a pity that on the build up to Easter, there was a lot, and I'm not gonna get into religion, but I just find it a bit of a pity, let me call it the awareness isn't available to the kids like it was maybe to us. Because I mean, I'm an old fogey, I'm 32, and, it's kind of, the awareness isn't there anymore, is it? You know? It's kinda it's now kind of forgotten about. The whole meaning of Easter is kind of, like, bypassed. I find that strange. I do find that strange. We've got Dornio 70. Hello, Dornio. Thank you very much for moderating. I do appreciate you again. And Roxy B is at the helm with any questions and stuff like that. I know you're probably going to have a lot of questions. You are by the time I get done. Right, here we go. Just to finish off with the Easter. The Gospels indicate Jesus was crucified and died around the third hour, 3 p.m. of the Jewish day, which is consistent with the Jewish Passover ritual. The Gospels record an earthquake occurring after Jesus' death. Okay. Easter eggs represent new life. The tradition of decorating and gifting eggs at Easter is rooted in the symbolism of new life, which connects to the resurrection of Jesus and the idea of a fresh start. Oh, Roman crosses, often found along roads, were not just symbols of death, they were a display of Roman power and a way to publicly humiliate and execute criminals. Not quite sure. I think it's because of those, the Easter crosses. Uh, Easter is celebrated on the first Sunday after the first full moon, following the spring equinox, which means the date changes every year. Okay, right. Easter's name likely comes from a pagan goddess. Many historians believe the name Easter is derived from the Anglo-Saxon goddess Eostor, a fertility goddess associated with spring. The Easter bunny, a popular symbol of the holiday, is believed to have originated in Roman folk tradition and may have connections to pagan fertility symbols. Very nice too. Yeah. Has anyone tried that with their Alexa or Google's with where's the Easter bunny? Tried it this morning. Roxy B tried it this morning. Our Easter bunny was ever so funny. It first of all was taking a bath. I believe it was taking a bath, and then it was in the kitchen, raiding the fridge. Seriously, I was like, "What?" Yeah, so it hopped into the fridge and started raiding that for food. I thought that's great. So it's not just Easter eggs it's after. Okay. Let's have a look. Right. Okay. Now, I've got two things that I want to ask first of all of you guys. I just want to say hello to Legend Dots. How you doing, Legend Dots? User NBRSTY Nubescu. You know who you are. Nick Berry. How you doing, mate? Good you could make it. But Andy Penn. Hello. Happy Easter. But nice for you to make it, Andy. You'll like this one, Andy. I think this will tickle your yeah, tickle where it should be tickled, really. You'll quite like this one. Right, okay. So, um, two questions I want to ask you. Direwolf cloning. All right, it's about a week or two ago that it sort of broke, wasn't it? A little while back. But how do you feel about direwolf cloning? Because I know how I feel about it. Now, I am Christian. I was brought up CV, and I get it with a lot of a lot of people because we shouldn't interfere with nature to that extent. So I kind of like I understand that part of things, but also, you know, God above, I believe, guides our hand no matter what. We think we have decisions, but we don't. He guides our hands no matter what. And I think I wrote it down here. So when you think about it, okay, direwolf cloning. Suggestions that 30% of the planet's genetic diversity will be lost by 2050. 30% of the planet's genetic diversity will be gone. That's shameful, isn't it? Isn't that bad? So, you know, so we're going to lose even more. Diversity of animals. Incredible. We should be giving ourselves the opportunity to see what we can do to reverse some of the bad things that we've done, okay, to the world already. Techniques learned restoring the direwolf can similarly be used to support things like the endangered red wolf. I see the whole topic as being kind of it can't do any harm. It really can't do any harm. I mean, I draw the line at kind of, bringing back T-Rex or anything like that. That's going to be a bit, it won't be too good, will it? But I know they're talking about the mammoth, but I think a lot of times, I mean, when you think, 30% of the world's biodiversity is going to be estimated to go by 2050, we do need to do something. We do need to, you know, um, we've taken enough. Maybe not our generation, maybe earlier generations, yes, but we have to sort of try to, and if it means not altering nature, I would say hybridization of nature slightly. It's still dealing with, the actual stem cells of the original animal. We're just manipulating them slightly. But I think it is a good thing, and in all probability, I think we stand a very good chance of keeping a lot of animals this way that we'd otherwise lose. So I think it's a good thing. Okay, right. Um, K218B. Let me know about this. Direwolf, let me know. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. Any questions? Okay, you got write question in capital, and the rest you can just write as normal because there's no point, especially if you're writing on the keyboard. You got to keep your finger on that shift button all the way, and no, just do the question in capital so that Roxy B knows that it's going to be a question. She can pin it and then uh, bring it up later. That'd be really good. And also, if you don't mind, oh, let me know if oh, hello, Andy. Oh, we go here. Trouble is, where will they eventually live? It may turn out to be Squirrelgate. Squirrelgate. Reds against Greys, and we all know what happened there. Yeah, we do know what happened there. Yeah, no, thank you, Andy. Yeah, that's right. It could well turn into that because if we do a good job of things from the point of view of bringing the species back without enhancements. Does that make sense? Let's bring them back. If they're a direwolf, they are going to be larger. Not necessarily. Their temperament we don't know because we haven't been involved with direwolf for quite some time. Um, we know about wolves in the Middle Ages, um, and we know that they used to attack, and they're a predatory species, especially when hungry. But with direwolves, Andy, we just don't know the temperament. We just don't know, yeah, because they are a lot bigger. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be more dominant. I don't think. Um, they're gonna be slower, probably. They will undoubtedly consume more if out in the wild, but I'm not sure if they are gonna be controlled at all. If they're gonna be controlled and they're not gonna be enhanced, if they're gonna be controlled and they're not gonna be enhanced, I can't see a problem. Um, and once again, I don't want to lose any more species which are endangered in I understand about the red squirrel and the grey squirrel over here, but do you know what? That was just, that was again, that was like it just by chance coming over. It wasn't on purpose, they just came over, and they just bred like squirrels. So, this that has happened, does happen very often, still does happen in the insect population, um, very often, a dominant species or a slightly enhanced species of a certain beetle or of a certain um, uh, locust will have the edge. I think that's just a natural thing. Sean, hello, Sean. Sean Patterson, dire wolves are only a little bigger than modern grey wolves. Even the skulls are close in size. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I obviously I don't know the size, but if you, yeah, but I mean that would put them on even Stevens anyway. And again, we don't know the temperament. We don't know their natural temperament. We just don't. You know, we know the natural temperament of like a grey wolf. You know, it's like a fox, isn't it? Over here, it's like kind of if it's hungry and it's cornered, it's gonna go. Um, user, oh man, user Nobistricica. Okay, all right, that's cool. I heard Loch Ness monsters are plesiosaurs and thunderbirds are petrosaurs. Some say they have glowing eyes, so I don't know. Could be alien hybrids. Yeah, right. I heard Loch Ness monsters. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that was a story going around from the 1930s about Loch Ness because there was that famous photograph taken of Nessie with the long neck sticking out and going across the top, and it was just captured. And also it's been seen with you know, um, as well. So it does. There has been a very always very murky photographs because with that lock, very cold, very deep, and very silty. You know, it's very sort of it's not the clearest of locks. Um, lots of caves in the place as well. With Thunderbirds, yeah, I think it's possible. There have been many moons ago. Um, there has been stories. There was one famous one, I believe, of a kid in the States was playing outside in a garden. It wasn't terribly long ago. I think I want to say it was 1970s or 80s. He was playing out in the garden. He saw a big giant bird, massive wingspan, about 10 foot, and it came down and it picked him up. Didn't take him very far. Picked him up off the ground and took him a few feet. And evidently, I think his mum, I believe, the bird do this, and it just dropped him. Um, so yeah, Thunderbirds have been known. I don't know. I don't really believe that they are dinosaurs or vestiges of dinosaurs. Um, I tell you why I don't believe that because take Loch Ness. It is a big lock. but it's going to take two to tango at least to keep a population going. Would there be enough food in that loch for two big dinosaurs like that? Would there be enough room from the point of view of quantity of food for them? Now they've taken samples recently. They've taken samples from the loch and they found that it's got a high concentration of eels. So the current the current thought on Loch Ness is it's a large, extra large eel. Dinosaurs living now, you see, if it's one, it can't be one on its own. So it'd have to be a family. Don't know. We're getting into, could that be hidden? Could that be hidden? You know, I don't think so. Petrosaurs are on New Britain Island. Plesiosaurs seen all over San Francisco Bay chasing sea lions. Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen that footage in San Francisco Bay. Um, I have seen the footage of the sonar in Loch Ness, which was taken, I believe, about 10 years ago now, and they scanned the whole of the loch, and they did pick up on this sonar an image which looked the petrosaur, like the long neck and the flippers, and can't be one though. Can't be one. And I don't think there'd be enough food in that loch to keep it going. There's just no way it wouldn't. I honestly don't think it would. There people have seen, what looks like a sea monster going across. It happened in 1930s where a guy was driving along around the road around the loch, and he just saw this. He said it looked like a petrosaur, it's like long neck and flippers just going across the road. Andy Penn direwolves mentioned on Curse of Skinwalker Ranch. Experts have suggested the bite force of a direwolf was the culprit to bite through the size of bone. They have huge lower jawbones. Yeah, I guess they would do because they're prey. They're dictated to by the prey at that time that they existed, that they would have hunted. Everything kind of seemed a little bit bigger back then. So, of course, through evolution, to have coped with their prey, they would have had to have been bigger. But as I say, if they're brought back now, and so long as we're responsible and just stop being stupid. I'm not saying about letting out, you know, packs of direwolves out into Cannock Chase. I'm not saying that. Look, they brought back into forests wild boar. Okay, they're not genetically modified. Okay, they're not. They're indigenous, have been indigenous, and they were just in low numbers. But they've been kind of bred and then released, like Cannock Chase have got wild boar. But they fitted in. Take that as an example. They fitted in, haven't they? They kind of uh, they've been vacant from the area. Someone's bought them, bred them, brought them back in. We're talking, wild boar, horns, and and they're big. Big animals like the razorbacks in Australia. Not as big as them, but they're like kind of big. But they've still fitted into the ecosystem. The one thing which I can almost guarantee is nature will always go to nature. And nature has a fantastic learning curve. Better than we have. We don't have any learning curve. So it adapts quickly. As long as we're not stupid with it, I think, and it's managed, I think it will be okay. and I think, oh, if it saves other species, let's just try it. Let's do it. You know. Uh, Bozo Fox, how you doing, mate? You all right? I believe those things come in through portals from other worlds. Yeah, yeah, with the sea monsters and stuff. Yeah, some people think they come in through the caves. In Loch Ness because there's like large, large underground caves. They believe. I don't think a lot of them have been mapped, but they believe that they go to the ocean. They link to the ocean. Now that would bring up another kettle of fish, wouldn't it? Pardon the pun. Um, User NBT, maybe live in the sea and breed in glacial lakes using tunnels, salmon, deer, seals in Loch Ness. I heard sturgeon too. Yes, I heard that. Locals moved away from there after weeing them. Okay. Hang on, let me say that again. Locals moved away from there after seeing them. Got it. Yes. Okay. Typo. No worries. Okay, I got it. I got it. I got it. Wasn't that quick? I wasn't. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're saying that uh people living near Loch Ness have left because of seeing these sea monsters? Is that what you mean? Um, but yeah, I mean, if they have, I think it's sort of a bit preliminary. And event was just about to post a tunnel theory. Oh man, yeah, great minds, eh? Great minds. Yeah, that's it. Well, yours anyway. I'm just winging it. I'm winging it, mate. But yeah, I know that was interesting when I think it was when they done the sonar search about 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And it was quite detailed. Took a lot of money because all this stuff is not free. It's not done gratis. So, uh, they have to kind of, you know, but yeah, they managed to do a proper big sonar search of the whole lock, and it was interesting what they found. Um, right, let's get this back up again. Okay, right now K218B. Right, what we got here? Sean. Okay, I agree. First of all, Native Americans have the water horned serpent legend and was considered a spiritual being. Yeah, 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 for sure. Well, Sean, in the UK, we had Beowulf, we had drag. There's been a long, long, long history of dragons, um, and they're kind of like universal. I mean, they're the only creature which is supposedly mythical on the horoscope, if you like, the Chinese horoscope. But um, it's kind of it's um, I there's been evidencing of like skulls dug up, which looked an awful lot like a dragon's. If there's going to be a dragon skull, and I've got a feeling this was in Persia, which is now Iraq, um, and they found what looked to be, all intents and purposes, a dragon skull. And funny enough, it was taken away really rather quickly. Um, so that's normal. That's just taken as read, really, isn't it? You know, anything which is slightly interesting, anything which kind of like would make one, back up one's theory would just be taken away because that's just what they do. There you go. There's a big somewhere there's uh that big Raiders of the Lost Ark warehouse somewhere. Oh, I'd love to get into that. It'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Yeah. Cool. Just think of the podcast I could do from there. Can you imagine the material? Hi, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Files from the from the warehouse, which stores the Smithsonian. Yes. Oh my word. I got the material. Oh my word. Really. Anyway, back to reality. K218B. Okay. Water world, hydrogen. Yeah. There's hydrogen there. So they believe there's life there. They believe it is a marine life because it's basically a water world. Strongest evidence yet: presence of molecules observed through light picked up by the James Webb. It's not that far away, 124 light years from us. Um, you know, should we waste our time? 124 light years. Can't do anything about it if there is life there, can we? But kind of, I don't know. I mean, oof, even if they, the problem is that uh, there'll be somewhere in some Quango group that will say, "Well, I know what we've got to do. We've got to come up with a space probe that won't get there for another 150 years, be longer than that." Let's have a look. 124 light years. Speed light travels, well, it wouldn't be worth doing, would it? I would if I was around that table and they said, "Look, we found a planet. I think it's hydrogen." I was go, "That's great. Leave it there then. That's brilliant. There probably is life." We'll never actually know. There is going to be life. You know, that's the one thing. Um, we can almost certainly guarantee. Life will go to life. There is always going to be there is life of some sort out there, if you like. They found it on meteorites, I believe, or asteroids. They found like life on them, in microscopic, but um, so yeah, I think just leave it there. It's like kind of, don't, but I think, spending too much money when there's stuff we need here, I think that'd be a bit foolish. But okay, right. What I'm going to do last week, do you remember it was a little bit of a cliffhanger? I didn't finish about the Glocken, yeah, the wonder weapon. And I just wanted to tell you, I really wish I had finished because it's so interesting. It's not going to bore you too much, okay? Because this is the meaty part. This is the good part. Right. Okay. To finish up from last week, if you missed the show, I went into some detail on Earth energies and missing places, houses, and people that disappeared or indeed reappeared. We ran out of time on the subject of technology that could be used to manipulate time or reality. I mentioned torsion fields and the wonder weapon, the Bell in Germany. At the end of the war, it disappeared along with detailed schematics. Now, there's a designer called Gerlach. Yeah, I think I pronounced that okay. The guttural Gerlach designed the flying saucer craft that were operational in the closing stages of the war. There's considerable evidence that prototype models using anti gravity drives were acquired by the US along with many of the scientists who had worked on them. And it is a strong possibility that at least one of these were based on the Bell as well, perhaps as the better known Byfield Brown effect. Okay. In 2004, defense contractor John Daring, chief scientist at SARA in Cypress, California, claimed to have built a simplified Bell device at a cost of $1.2 million, which demonstrated an anti-effect. However, he then refused to reveal any details about it to Tim Ventura, who wanted to publish a book on the subject. The alternative theory is that the aim of the project was not anti-gravity, but time travel. You see how it leads from what I was talking about, missing people and missing houses and things like that, that go on. So this idea was first put forward by Nick Cook, scientific advisor, whom he describes by the pseudonym Dan Marcus. The evidence is patchy, but adding in what we now know about torsion fields and a possible relation to time slips makes it less implausible. The most convincing single piece of evidence comes from a book by Henry Stevens, Hitler's Suppressed and Still Secret Weapons, Science and Technology. Stevens is like Wachowski, one of the world's leading experts in Nazi weapons research. When he began researching the German Flying Saucer program, he found that he was coming across a mass of material about exotic weapons, technology which indicated that Germany was significantly ahead of the Allies in science information obtained by researcher Friedrich Friedrich Gorge from a young German soldier. So, um, sorry, it should be Friedrich George. Okay, from a young German soldier in detention after the war. He had got into a conversation with an SS man who told him of a secret facility in the Harz Mountains. So this German officer, it's documented account. This German officer was held and by the Allies, um, uh, and he was right next door to a SS guy, and so they got talking, and the SS guy told him this. Told him of a secret facility in the Harz Mountains where Hitler had built a time machine. But this machine was no longer accessible. By that time, the Wenceslas mine, its final location had been evacuated and then flooded. So I just wanted to finish up on that because I should have finished last week, but I ran out of time. So I thought it was only fair just to let you know, that's so, when it came with all the missing stuff, I do think that, there is a lot of exotic material being used. We all know that they kind of like have got, I believe, prototype craft. Um, and I saw one the other day, I was watching something and I saw this like plane. It had wings, but then the wings started flapping like a flipping dragonfly. Have you seen that? It's like a dragonfly just flapping like that. It just took off. Crazy. I was like, what? Yeah. And it was going a fair old lick as well. I was like, wow, yeah. So right. So this week, let's get to it. It's going to be main topic, mind speak, and can animals talk to us? And if not, then what is going on with the phenomenon witnessed? So we all know that people, they all say, "Oh, but I heard mine speak," and which is fine. I get it. I think it sounds a bit better like this. So I just sort of wanted to dive into that a little bit deeper, and also give my side of it. Okay. Um, First off the bat, what I have got to say is before we go into it is symbolism is a language. Okay. Um, and some of the earliest languages were in this form. We still have a ton of symbolism around us today, every day, from adverts, logos, brands, even the simple QWERTY keyboard to road signs, and it goes far deeper. So we have to be aware that every day we go out or switch on TV remotes, symbolism is there everywhere. We interact with it, acknowledge it, and most important, we have it as a benchmark part of our world understanding from an early age. And you've got to bear this in mind, because we'll get back to this regarding mind speak. It's quite important. Right. Before I get into that, I'll probably just have a sip of beer with 2 minutes. Ah, it's all professional way. I even got posh water. I can't drink still water. I like bubbly water, Don't don't really sort of, don't know, it's got more of a taste to it, if you like. I know water shouldn't have a taste, but it's got more of a taste. Right, here we go. On a recent investigation last week to Epping Forest, a sizable forest north of London, which was originally a royal hunting ground, that later was bequeathed by Queen Victoria. I quote, "For the use and enjoyment of my people for all time." End quote. It has a long history of crime from the days of Dick Turpin, hiding up there and stealing, to gangsters of London using the forest as an unconsecrated graveyard. Okay. So many times I have been here, and small corners of the forest hold manifestations and cryptids, and these have been witnessed many times by ordinary people such as myself. If you know where to go, you will find them. What we got? Body language is 55% of our communication. Yeah, exactly right. It is. Yeah, it is 55%. That's quite a lot, isn't it? That is quite a lot. Yeah. Um, no, it's quite right though. It is. We kind of we do perceive people before we sort of have a chance to talk to them. We kind of and we can't help ourselves. We do sort of surmise stuff from just seeing people. Um, the bell probably teleportation technology from Aldebaran. Oh, okay. That's how USA got Montauk and Philadelphia experiment project. Yeah. I think so. I think with the Montauk, that was more uh mind control. That was more mind control, and also um uh, Project Stargate as well was combined with that, where they were kind of um, you had supposedly people able to project their minds to a place. It may have been a safe. They might have, and maybe a room that was locked over in the USSR, and people from Montauk were able to go in and. But I heard some horrible things about Montauk. Also, they've done a lot of testing there as well. I know they've done a lot of genetic testing. Um, But, yeah, I think so. I think no, you are quite right. I think all this technology, there is a they share it, don't they? Let's face it, that, I don't think when people say 2027 is gonna be the big reveal, I've heard this quite a few times. Well, why? Why 2027? There hasn't been anything, kinda is it because Planet Nibiru is gonna come in 2027? There's gonna be some Project Bluebeam that's gonna be fired up, and we're gonna sort of is that it? Project Bluebeam is gonna happen in 2027, and we're just sort of preparing ourselves? I think something will happen because of straws on the and those straws on the water have always been the same straws. It's just different f flavor of clues, if you like. Now, what I mean by that is, don't you find it funny that every single TV program, every film, unless it's a romance, but mostly every kind of film, um, you, I know the ending. You kind of like you're gonna say just gonna turn around and go, it's gonna be another multiverse. Yeah. Oh, it's a time slip. It's multiverse. Yeah, they'll jump through, and then the guy in the multiverse will jump through into our multiverse, and then everything will be fine, and they'll be saved, and yeah. But this is kind of like every film has got this narrative in it. Every TV series. It's getting to the point now where it's like getting quite predictable. But don't you think that a lot of times that uh let's have a look. An event Nostradamus prophecy suggests a period of significant change and opportunity for Taurus between 25 and 27. Oh, okay, right. You see, yeah, uh, but what significant change? We wouldn't know of any significant change because it is a prophecy. But if we could tally that up with, specific movements up there, planetary movements, and I'm sure with AI that would be able to plot for that time period. And if that was possible, then they would have plotted. Somebody would have plotted, um, and they would have said, "Oh, yeah, right, there's going to be big changes." I'm not saying you're wrong, Andy. I'm not saying I'm right. But I'm saying, um, you know, a lot of people have made. Was it? Was it Mother Shipton, Nostradamus, Baba Vega, the blind lady? Um, And she was quite accurate, actually. She was very, very accurate. But they've all made all made predictions. But it's I think that I put more credence in what is happening with TV, films. It's all we're being shown. We're being conditioned. Yeah, that's what I think. I think we're being conditioned uh, for to be accepting of oh, it's another multiverse. Oh. So maybe when a shift does happen, something happens, we're just going to be quite mundane about it. It's not going to be such a big thing. We'll get on with our day. We'll get on with our life. We won't be running around in circles like headless chickens and kind of, breaking up shops and just going crazy because we've been prepared. May not be right, but it just seems ever so odd that for quite some time now, it's like kind of been heating up. The narrative's been heating up. Um, so yeah, don't know. Preston Nichols, Duncan Cameron, Al Biek, Montauk Alien Project, Andrew Basagia, yeah, Basiago, Brett Stillings, Bernard Mendes, Alan, Project Rainbow. Yes, I know Project Alien, Project Rainbow. Yeah, yeah. I think so. I think it's I think we're all kind of like I think it's all we're all aware that I don't know about you, but I know I'm aware that something is not quite right. I'm aware of that. There's something not quite right um with the way things are at the moment. And the way things are at the moment are um the news, the media um is so manipulated. And that's not right. They can manipulate us to such a degree that 1 minute there's war, and the next minute there'll be something else to distract us. There'll be another disaster. Won't be so bad, obviously, but there'll be another disaster, and that'll be enough to shift our vision from what is in front of us. And I think a lot of that is really the conditioning that we've had with over the years, over the past 20-25 years. Um, kids nowadays, they're kind of um, they they just have to have a good memory, but because there is everything available, all the knowledge available. When I was at school, there was no access to it other than going to a library or asking mum and dad or neighbor next door, who kind of like I don't know, Phil. And it's um, you had to do it yourself. The homework you had to do yourself, but now you've it's easier, which dumbs people down. I think it dumbs the whole system down. And then you get the schools, which like kind of I'm not going to go on and on, but the schools like kind of they want to hit targets. They want to make it easy because they want the kids to hit targets so that next time they get you know they get more money coming in because they're a school that's doing well. Um, and depend. Uh, Nostra Coltrane says the asteroid, as huge as Mount Everest, will only be about 0.03 astronomical units. Yeah, I have heard this. Yeah, or roughly 2.9 million miles from Earth's center during this time. That's very, very close, extremely close. Um, yeah, as huge as Mount Everest. Yeah, that I don't think I did read about that. Um, and they said devastating for sure, but it's not a planet killer. Um, that's what I read. But yeah, with the velocity and depends on the trajectory as well. Um, won't be good. I wouldn't want it on my house, but yeah, it's when's that going to be? Is that going to be in 20? What was that? 27? 2025 and 2027. Thank you very much for that. I didn't read that little last bit. I forgot. Yeah. Oh, okay. 2025 and 2027. Oh, okay. Right. Um. So okay. So I am me. I'm thinking. Uh. What then? Aliens. They're going to say aliens exist because their technology can divert the asteroid away. Um. I guess might get a bit cold, don't I? It may well do, yeah. Yeah, 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 chances it will land in Essex probably, yeah. That'd be about right. It all goes on here. Yeah, but, yeah, I mean, with asteroids, they've got, they've got problems, haven't they? Of, our usual vacuum cleaner is gonna be, Jupiter. That's our usual vacuum cleaner to clear up, any rogue asteroids. But we're getting to the stage now where with the belt just on the outer edge of our uh, solar system, and we're not moving around, we're also moving up as well. So we're kind of, we're going at quite a fair old lick. So of course we're going to have more. It's a dynamic change all the while with asteroids, and it's something which it's a shame, but Um, they don't have any contingency that I know of. The only contingency I know of are DUMBs, deep underground um, military bases, which would be used for people that they deemed needed to be saved. But strategically, I don't know. I mean, they did do a test, didn't they, of sending a missile up to kind of divert a small one off. That worked. I forget what it was called now. User Lobestry, right? Okay. I'm butchering that name, mate. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna say user NBT, if that's okay. Um, Barry King from Miles Johnson Bases Project said reptilians ran Peasmore base in UK. Oh, okay. All right. Um, yeah, well, I think, um, I do have leanings when it comes to reptilians, um, and the race that lives underground, as it were. And I'll tell you why. I think, look, um, I'll tell you why I do, and that is because I think, all right, look, this is what I think of aliens, right? if I was to tell you that aliens um, have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they have been written about already in books and folklore, right in our face. And reptilian wise, yep, definitely. It's not a far cry from calling um, a alien as the form of a grey, or and also lizard person, you could call um, a vampire. Think about it. Lizard people live underground. They don't particularly get on well with sunlight, from what we understand. A lot of encounters happen at night. Animals sanguinated. People fluids extracted. When you look at the Nosferatu film, the old one and the new one's really good as well. But I liked it. I did like it. But with the teeth, when they're in that form, when they're in that Nosferatu form with the teeth, and their teeth are kind of like hooked over, you know, they're kind of like hooked over, like almost like, you know, one of these the uh fishes, you know, like the angler fish, and you see it, like a lot of the fish in a deep ocean, and they kind of got this, you know, it's hard to imagine their brittler teeth. You know, you think they're gonna be kind of snap off, but they're really thin. But they're kind of like and Nosferatu has that same kind of teeth, dark eyes, and the pale skin, and the sucking the blood. You know, could they? Are they? I remember going to cinema and seeing Nosferatu, and it struck me then. I thought, because it had it in my mind about, you know, uh, lizard people and stuff, you know, aliens. And I thought, crikey O'Reilly, when you think that that was written, you know, what, getting on for 150 years ago now? I've got a book up there. I've got a Dracula book, Bram Stoker's book up there. Um, but when you think on that, and you think the folklore that goes back even more, there's always been stories about vampiric people. That's not really very much of a far cry from now, really. As I say, we'd never get a good you never get a good handshake off an alien when you get on board, do you? Maybe if you're a higher energy, and maybe if you kind of like astral plane into one, if they would come here and pick me up, I know exactly what's going to happen. It wouldn't be good. Wouldn't be good. You know, it's not going to end well, is it? Let's face it. You know, I mean, worst case scenario, PTSD and um, memory loss. You know, which is yeah. So they might have done it already. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, look, I'm gonna get slightly back on track. We can. I mean, if you want, we can just like kind of just chew the fat. Um, you know, as and whenever you want. Uh, so you know, kind of if we don't get through all this now, doesn't matter. We can just, you know, we can do we can just, this is nice because it's like free and easy, you know. Um, yeah. So I went to Epping Forest. I've done a film. Shall I play the film for you? Is that a good thing to do? I'll play the film for you. I think that's a good thing, and then I'll kind of have a little pop-up window, and I go, "Yeah, that's me, that is," and I'll tell you stop it on certain places and say, "Look." So I was in a certain section of the woods, and what it was, I'd spoken to a guy. His name Christopher Huff, Okay, now he was one of the kids that was there at the Lost Pond when famously in the late 70s, he was one of the boys fishing. And I spoke to him a little while back now, but and I got in touch with him and asked him, and I said, "Well, what actually went on?" And he said, "Oh, Phil," he said, "Yeah, we were fishing." He said, "Minded our own business. It's starting to get dark, evening time, but evidently I don't go fishing. You know, the thought of trying to unhook from the mouth of a fish, you know, is like I couldn't do that. I can't do that." But anyway, so he said behind him, him and his mate heard these big, heavy footsteps. Now, when I say big, I mean a gate. You know, you can tell by thud. But you know, it's that sort of long gate. He said it must have been crazy long, 6 foot at least, because he said it's like very heavy, and and it was brushing against trees and branches and they were falling off. Something big. It was like a giant. They didn't see anything. They heard it. So it got closer and closer. They started getting a bit hoo 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 hoo. So uh it's whipped around and they had their amber torches with the D cells in the back. You know, remember those? Um, you know, filament bulbs gave it amber yellow glow, you know, for about 5 foot, and that's it, you could see. Um, and they cast those into the forest when they heard the footsteps getting really close to a thing, and it freaked them out. Spoke to Krista, and Chris said, "We just went, we got out of there, man. We got out of there. There's no way we're going to hang around now." Um, whatever it was, um, just 1 minute sounded as if it was right behind us, next minute disappeared, gone. And that's just crazy. Lost Pond is also famous because I'm not going to say the words, but it begins with S. And I'll describe it like this, and you'll get the gist. People have, for no apparent reason, feelings of despair, of grief, of loss, and they end up dying in the pond. They just end up drowned. So that happened quite relatively recently. It was a black lad that died in a pond, I believe. But yeah, there's quite a few crazy stories about the lost pond in Epping. So it's been 2 years since I went back, and I thought, "Do you know what I'm going to do this time?" Chris told me roughly where he was. It was on a beach section of the lake, okay, where you could cast back quite easily because there wasn't any trees behind too close. A lot of fishermen go to that beach. So he said, if you go there, it came up from behind the forest that way. So I thought, being clever, oh, we do fool ourselves. I honestly, I do fool myself. I really do. Anyway, we thought, well, what I'll do, I'll walk the forest. I won't go by the path. I'm going to walk through the forest the way this thing would have had to have walked to have got to the beach part of that pond. Coming that way, difficult going. It's not easy. There is some small paths, but on the whole, you know, brambles, fallen trees, stuff like that, you know. So it's not the easiest path, but I did it. Anyway, I found lots of structures, and came across a very uh, interesting little spot. And it's at this when I was walking up towards this interesting spot, I heard people talking. Now, when I play the film, it is better if you wear headphones, okay? Because at the same time, there's light aircraft. What is a jet? It's just a light aircraft going over. Um, so I think that was coming out from North Weald, but doesn't matter. It's going over. I thought, oh, that's right. It's typical. Anyway, I heard these people talking, and I said on film, I said, "Can you hear that? Can you hear that?" And then as I got closer, there was another voice. Those people talking ended. Then there was another sort of a deeper male whisper. I heard it quite clearly. It did greet me. That's why I said hello to it. And I went, "Oh, hello." So, but yeah, I'll play it and see what we think. All right. Oh, look, wait a minute. Let me take myself. What I'll do, I'm going to stop it there because, hang on. I'm going to make this bigger screen. Okay, I'm going to make it a bigger screen for you. Okay, there. All right. All right. Remember, if you have got earphones, uh, you know, try and put those on. If not, the video's up. I think it is. I've got a short made of it, and the main video investigation. I think if you got to 21:30, 30 minutes, and that will get you there. I'll just see if I can change that because let's have a look. Ah, yes, I can. Okay, that's good. Right, all right. I managed to do it. Listen, yeah, okay. Right, okay. I played the film. Thanks for having the patience. Right. Okay. Okay, it's just a little ways on. It's only about 4 minutes. I think this thing is. Now, see if we can move it on a bit. Okay, right. Hang on a minute. Let me take this back a bit. Okay. Let's get it back a bit more. Okay. Right. Another TP structure. Let's go and have a look. go and have a look. And this is quite some way in. Right, okay. So that section here, right, as soon as it gets to 120, okay. So just as I sort of rounded the tree at the beginning, you could hear it, but there wasn't anyone there. Um, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Move that one. Yeah, it did. It must admit, it did sound like hello. Um, so where am I gone? Hold on. Yeah. So that was the section. But if you listen back, like with earphones, you can hear like a deep whispering coming, a deep sound, male sound coming through. So that was the thing. Uh, is this Lost Ponds on the opposite Whips Cross Hospital? This is Lost Pond towards the middle of Epping Forest. St Margaret's, is that the one you mean? Um, so you go straight on down from St Margaret's. I suppose on the other side of Loughton, was that where Whips Cross is? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure, but yeah. Um, and I've got some other still photos as well I want to show you. Okay. These are sent in, somebody by Dornio70, because she saw the film and uh, she took stills because she's got eagle eyes. Okay. And she uh, took some stills of, let's get that up. And some of the stills are interesting. One, I done a live, okay, from there. Okay, so I done a live. And let's get this bigger. Yeah. So I did live and when I was there, but the internet was so rubbish, it kept pixelating. But there's another lady called Kerry who also saw a lot of stuff on that, as well as Dawn. And Dawn sent this in, which was very interesting. I know it's really pixelated. All this stuff is like bizarre. I know it's absurd because there's nothing concrete, really clear 4K, boom. But it does look almost like I would call like a mermaid with kind of a top off, but a real strange position she's in, almost like half laying down. And I thought that was a bit, a little bit odd. There's a bit more of a closer up one. Let's see if I can get a bit closer up. As I say, it is terribly pixelated, but we try. It's just getting it out there and getting people. So listen, which I found quite interesting, because she gets a lot of activity. Dawn does, where her just very close to her house, out the back of her house, if you like, and this interested me, because I've got footage. You know that the Ellen's house. I've got orb footage from there where it looks an awful lot like that. And do you remember people often talking, uh, saying about rods years ago? And they said, "Oh no, no, rods of insects." But then you had that amazing footage where rods are kind of, sort of spiraling and doing 90-degree turns, and the way they are, the way the rod looks, they all look the same, and they kind of look like they're rippling through the air, you know. Um, when Dawn sent us this picture, it looked just like rods, if you like. And I remember seeing a Carl Sagan program once. He done a documentary, and it was in Egypt. And I found a one one's scene of it. You can see him kind of like looking down a tunnel, if you like, from above down a chamber. And just at that moment, something flashed by. And it's a while ago now. And I took it back. It was on disc, believe it or not, I had it. And I took it back. But I've seen it on the internet. I've seen it kind of like on YouTube, the documentary, Carl Sagan. And oh, I know what it was about Carl Sagan. He was talking about these towers that the Egyptians built, like a giant, huge sundials, and he theorized that that's what they were for. They were kind of like, in a way, to do with the constellations and the sundial and the curvature of the Earth. You know how to calculate all that. Anyway, as he was talking at the scene, and I was looking down this chamber, this thing flashed past. Anyway, I still paused it. Blow me down sideways. That was a rod, a big one as well. And I was like, "What?" Now I get it. People have mimicked it because most film is 30 frames per second. Yeah, so you're talking at 30 frames of film run past the lens. You know, if it was a city film, um, at lightning speed, really, it's incredible. You know, to give that motion. Uh, it's like Zeno's arrow going through the air. Um, but uh, uh, it's and they say because of that, when a bug goes flying by, its wings will elongate. You know, it look longer than it actually is, and it will give that effect. It's almost like uh, the best way to describe it is Zeno's arrow. I would say, um, and that is with Zeno's arrow. It's hypothesized that uh, as the arrow is fired off and runs through the air, um, the arrow is in constant. And if you're videoing it at 30 frames per second, you would see that that arrow would be in constant stops. It's not a linear movement that it runs. It doesn't run through the air in just one single movement. What it does, because the arrow can't be in two places at the same time, it will be here, and it'll be there, and it'll be there, then it'll be there, then it'll be there. And that goes for the same principle of rods. They try to apply it to the same principle of rods. I'm not so sure with rods. I think rods are more organic. I think they are a type of um, creature, if you like. But that's only me. That's only me. That's what I think. But right, let's have a look. I'll get that back on. Let's get it onto a big screen. Get Dawn's photos on a big screen. Don't need me in it. All right, let's get to the next one. Where are we? Come on. Okay, there we go. Right. Okay. Let's take another one like here. Once again, it's not Don's fault. I think it's because the live was kind of very pixelated because I was relying on a 4G and walking around. But that's quite an odd thing. Obviously, pareidolia could well be. Could be just a branch, the way a branch is. This is one of her photos of where she lives nearby, and there's evidently a portal here. So I guess around there. But very beautiful place, I know that. Very beautiful. If you let us know whereabouts it is, where I should be looking, would be good, Dawn. Um, oh, hang on, it might be here. Yeah, could be. Hmm. Okay, right. This interesting one. I like this one a lot, for obvious reasons. But yeah, that's quite well defined. That is quite well defined. Considering it's alive and pixelated, that's quite well defined. Uh, that definitely does look like a Dogman. Definitely. Um, that's quite strange. That's quite odd. I appreciate you sending these in. I'll see that's another one, but once again, it's way pixelated. But yeah, could be something. Um, it's just odd. That is just odd. Yeah, so I got that, and I also hang on. Let's get this. At stage, yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I had those pictures Dawn kindly sent in. Um, so they were quite good. Once again, we have to work with what we've got. Now, what I wanted to talk about was a little bit of mm, mm, mm. Yeah. So that's the story of the Lost Pond, right? So a lot of people will say, like I said to you, feel you're hearing voices. You need the check up and the neck up, basically. Um, well, a vast number of people do hear auditory and visual phenomenon. Whether they are ghost hunters, we may scoff at person one hearing voices from the past. But what makes these audio or visual manifestations real to the witness hearing or seeing it is it's real to them. To their senses, it is going on now. Person two sitting next to them can't hear or see anything, who actually is correct. Sometimes it is limited to the selection in the mind of the person experiencing. So let's find out. So, firstly, Dogman and Bigfoot mind speak. Okay, they do. They just do. Uh, and speech interpretation, I, for one, believe witnesses uh, that have said they heard either talk or mind speak. Not all witnesses, but enough. This is because I have witnessed the same a handful of times, always either warning me of danger or as a guide. I know how this sounds, but I have heard this speech, and this time I believe it was recorded along with the pack as I was walking towards the area. I say this because it guided me towards an old structure, and because I had lost my bearings, my goal of the pond was in the same direction as that structure. That ghost hunters will say different things again, but in this case, I had the experience, and you have the recording. So I had the experience, you got the recording, but at the end of the day, it's my call because it's my experience. It was the same voice I had heard numerous times before, a dogman, let's call it. I prefer guardian on a more personal note. The real name is not something we can even pronounce, I believe. It's more of a guttural howl, its name would be. It's the way it would do it. There's a very low and deep, so good luck with their names. And one I know I call Danny for no reason other than that it used to be my imaginary friend, or so my parents thought when I was a kid. But I will save that long winding road for the book I'm currently writing. Okay, because it is a real long story. That one is really good, quite scary, but real long story. We have always had a relationship. Dogs, we with dogs, a long relationship with dogs. Cats to chase vermin, horses to travel, but dogs, they're our oldest companions. Yeah. So Rudyard Kipling, man's best friend. So it dates back with dogs and us back to Paleolithic times. Okay, that's 50,000 to 12,000 years ago. An awful long time. The dog was a fellow huntsman, bringing to the table, pardon the pun, speed and cunning, and a bite to slow an end. I digress. So, talking animals. The earliest documented case of an animal talking was in the 5th century BC. A Greek physician, Stasis, who wrote, I encountered a parrot as large as a hawk with a human voice, dark red beard, red beak. This was in India. In England, a budgie called Sparky knew 531 words. He was called Sparky, bless him. A budgie called Park in the Guinness World Records for the largest vocabulary of any bird. Then we have another story. Okay, this story is from the Isle of Man. Now, a lot of people out there are going to know exactly what this story is about. So I'll just move that over to there. Right, okay. Let's look at Jeff. Dr. Nandor Fodor, and parapsychologist. Harry Price was the one that investigated that haunted hall, wasn't it, in Suffolk? What's the name of it? Let us know in the comments. It was a hall, Borley Rectory. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, that's one. I couldn't think of it for a minute. Yeah, Borley Rectory. That was the place where there was a sighting of a nun that was walking along the grass, but it was like the witness said, oh, she was floating about 2 feet above the ground, which would make sense because in her time, the ground was higher. But yeah, Borley Rectory. There was a fascinating documentary I heard, and I've been trying to find it ever since, of they took a recording. I'm not sure if it was Harry Price or one of his team took a recording of inside Borley Rectory, and you could clearly hear footsteps. Footsteps and the door opening and closing. You know, talking about that. Do you remember that video that I done at Cold Christmas Church? Right. Do you remember that I left a microphone there? I left it overnight. Yeah. It's quite a sensitive microphone, condensing microphone, so it picks up kind of like omnidirectional, so it picks up a lot of sound around it. And I normally put them into a dog poo bag, and I kind of didn't bury it. Don't ever bury it, but I put it quite high up, right close by Cold Christmas Church. Anyway, in total, it was 25 hours. That's a lot of stuff to get through. But I was listening to a little window, and this window is from like midnight to 3 a.m. And I heard, and it's not a church anymore, it's just a tower. I heard a door open, like in Borley Rectory, that recording, and a clonk clonk of the handle and a door coming open. I swear it. I was like, "What, really?" So I'm cobbling that together because I did another video of a forest overnight microphone a few weeks back now. and that was quite good. Picked up a lot of, but that was a real real cryptid wood, real cryptid wood. But yeah, I've got a lot of really cool stuff on that one. So yeah, I'll get that audio done. But yeah, yeah, Baldy Vetric, brilliant at audio. Anyone that finds that's brilliant. Right, so yeah, we've got two people involved here, two parapsychologists. Okay, Dr. Nandor Fodor and Harry Price. They both went to in Isle of Man, a family who took over a farmstead. Yeah, it was only a small, like a large small holding, and they came from United Kingdom because the Manx are vehemently independent. I'd love to go there. I would love to go. I've got a friend of mine who just come back from there. He used to live over there. But I'd love to go over there because they've got such a heritage. They truly believe in fairies, and they believe in a lot of folklore. And it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. So and this is where the story comes from. So Harry Price went over first. Harry Price was invited over because this family that moved over from the UK decided to run this small holding. I had a daughter. She was about 12, something like that, 12, 13 maybe at the time. This is back in the 1932 when when it first brought to the attention. And they got in touch with Harry Price because not because it was ghosty, because they had a talking mongoose. It said Harry, and it was very matter of fact. It wasn't sort of like, oh my god, I've got a talking mongoose. I must be going mad. No, they sent him a letter saying, would you come and have a word, investigate, because this mongoose is talking to us. So that's what he did. So 1932. First of all, mongooses are classified within the. I'll probably butcher this. Right, Herpestida family, which is distinct from other carnivore families like the. I've got to butcher this one. Mustelidae, family, which is weasels and ferrets, basically. So it's not part of that family, weasels and ferrets. Mongooses are something else. 1932, Jeff began killing rabbits for a local family and left them on a wall outside their home. The rabbits were piled up in great numbers on a wall outside the small holding. So many he caught that the local population dropped dramatically, and locals were concerned. 1934. This is what happened at the build-up. Jeff began making trips to the nearest town and returning and told the family what had been going on in town. This information proved to be correct without the family leaving the home. So basically, Jeff would go, do a recce mission, go to town, come back and tell them what had been going on in town. Incredible. It's like, and this was kind of like documented. This is like what went on. The daughter practiced ventriloquism as a young girl. Her name is Voirrey, Voirrey, Voirrey. My dad lives in the island. Oh wow, no way. Oh, Dawn, really? Have you been there yourself? Look up Ferry Bridge. You have to wave, saying goes. Wave saying goes. Oh, hang on. You have to wave saying goes. If you don't, you will go over the cliff's edge. Oh, right. Oh, no, yeah, definitely wave. Okay. Wow. Yeah. No, I really would like to go over there. I've heard there's a lot of folklore over there. And they 100% believe it. 100%. And so they should. I think there's no smoke without fire, as it were. Yeah, daughter practiced ventriloquism as a young girl. Voirrey back then which of course was so voyeur practice ventriloquism, which was a red flag to a ball to Harry Price for a start. Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, right, okay. Um, she she had sought no fame or monies. Um, where are we? Wait. Oh, way too quickly then. Yeah. Okay. So she hadn't sought any monies from what went on with Jeff. Okay. Nothing at all. Um, Now you got to note that the family had to sell the farm at a loss because people wouldn't touch it, saying it was haunted. After that, it just fell to rack and ruin. There was another lady that went sometime afterwards. She was a medium, and she just went. It was all rubble, basically. I think there was like one hut left standing, and she called out for Jeff, and Jeff answered her as well. And Jeff would be quite rude, you know. Um, yeah, it was quite a rude sounding. Uh, it was kind of, I don't know, like a boisterous teenager. Um, an investigator called McGraw interviewed Voiry later in her life when she was much older and asked her some questions. I quote, "Was Jeff a mongoose?" Voiry, "I don't know. I know he was small, a small animal, about 9 inches to a foot long. I know he talked to us. His voice was very high pitched. He swore a lot." McGraw, question. The speech, was it not parrot like? Voiry, oh no, at first he talked to me more and more than anyone. We carried on regular conversations. McGraw, question. After 30 years, you still insist this was not a hoax? Voiry, it was not a hoax, and I wish it had never happened. If my mother and I had had our way, we would never have told anyone about it. But my father was sort of wrapped up in it. It was such a wonderful phenomenon that he just had to tell the people. When asked if Jeff was a spirit, Jeff replied he was an earthbound spirit. Jeff would do tricks. A visitor knowing about Jeff would go to the farm and the visitor would place a coin on a table, and Jeff, looking through a peephole in the barn, would say whether it was heads or tails. On taking a photo of Jeff, he would dart off at the moment the shutter was clicked. He explained he was afraid of being caught. In Nandor Fodor, he was another parapsychologist, Dutch, um, kind of friends, I think, with Harry Price. They knew each other. Because I think it was Harry Price that wrote to Nandor, saying about this farmstead, and you should go. A couple of years afterwards. So Nandor Fodor, Jeff told Nandor Fodor his father's last words before leaving Hungary. Sorry, it wasn't Hungary came from, sorry. So Nandor was told that no one else knew that what his father's last words were. His father's last words were, "I shall never see you again," as he got onto a boat, evidently. Jeff made this revelation during a late night phone call to Fodor. This was a key moment in Fodor's investigation of Jeff, as it was a personal connection to the case that could help him understand the situation. Last words to his father, never see you again. Nandor was baffled how Jeff or anyone would have known this. Another odd aside to this is a sample of hair caught off Jeff, and Harry Price sent it off to be analysed by Professor Lullian Huxley, who then handed the fur over to Mr. F. Martin Duncan, FZS, which is part of the Zoological Society. Uh, uh, the findings were that it didn't belong to any mongoose. It didn't belong to a rat, rabbit, hare, squirrel, or other known rodent, or sheep, goat, or cow. Mr. F. Martin Duncan, Society, said, "I'm inclined to say these hairs have come from a coat of a longish-haired dog or dogs." And when they appropriated that hair, they said that was Jeff's hair. There was a film that came out about it. Well worth watching. Well worth watching. I would, absolutely, yeah, well worth watching film. Very good. Right, another quick one because I know time's getting on. Okay, Carl Jung. He heard voices. Carl Jung, a prominent psychologist, personally experienced hearing voices and seeing visions, which he considered a gateway to understanding the unconscious mind. He described these experiences, including an inner voice he named Philemon, as revelations about the independent forces within the psyche. Jung believed that these voices were not necessarily a sign of mental illness, but could be a natural part of the human experience and a source of insight. Jung described experiencing an inner voice throughout his life, which he named Philemon. He saw Philemon as a distinct entity within his psyche, a voice that was not his own, but that had its own thoughts and life. So it's very much a case of, if you think about that, it's like crazy, isn't it? So that's epitome, isn't it? Really, of uh, uh, schizophrenia. It's got its own life. It's a non-created entity that's talking. And he said people in the not so long past have picked up radio frequencies on their teeth. Yeah, no, the fillings as well. I know. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Um, I used to do CB a lot when I was younger. I used to do CB radio, 1414 for a copy, 1010 till we meet again, all of that. Um, and I used to really enjoy it. You know, I used to go out with me mates. We used to have like a rubber duck or a whip antenna on the Morris Marina 1800 twin carb with the chain steering wheel. You know, complete with a void of a floor. So your feet could, if you really wanted to, you could push your feet through the floor onto the road. That's like kind of just holes that were in the bottom of the car. But no, so we used to sort of go up to places like Horsenden Hill, which was a very high place near Perryville, very high, and Swar Inn, there, what they call it, swearing in, um, and kind of yeah, getting as far as signal as you possibly could. We used to enjoy that. But get why you say about the teeth. On many occasions, with 27 megahertz, it used to run at, um, and I can remember bleeding over or having being bled over by a radio ham quite a few times. There was a radio ham who must have lived a few miles away, but when he wanted to, he had so much power, he'd bleed over the signal and yeah, totally take me out. Absolutely take me out. I used to have a Midland CB, but yeah, there's been people that have yeah received that have had that, you know, especially if they've got the metal fillings as well, malagnum, isn't it? Malagnum fillings, mercury based ones, aren't they? But yeah, crazy. It's like, just imagine, you know, uh, absolutely crazy. I can't imagine getting Radio X on me teeth. It'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Right. Okay. Young's perspective on hearing voices differed from a purely clinical view. While acknowledged that voices could be a symptom of psychosis, he also believed they could be a normal part of the human experience, particularly during periods of heightened awareness or introspection. Jung suggested that the content of auditory hallucinations could hold symbolic meaning, representing unresolved issues, repressed emotions, or other unconscious material. He believed that understanding these symbols could lead to a deeper understanding of oneself. In Jungian uh, Jungian psychology, hearing voices can be linked to the shadow, the unconscious aspects of personality that are often still denied. Integrating the shadow, including the voices associated with it, can lead to a more balanced and authentic self. So I found that ever so interesting as well. Um, uh, from the point of view of with Carl Jung, he had many for a learned man and a logical man. He had many instances of uh, strange things happening, to him. And I think a lot of times these things do happen to us because we are inquiring minds. We're not closed off. We're not black and white. We are inquiring minds. We kind of, and I've always said the same thing. I think it needs us to witness it as much as we want to witness the event. It needs us to show itself. It draws off us. If we're not willing to see it, it won't show itself. It might still be there, but it won't show itself because it needs us. And I think there's a very strong correlation with the aliens as well. I think that they're all part and parcel with the mind speak. Um, Documented, they often have it as well. And I've done a little. I don't know if I can put it up here now. Let's have a look, see if I can. I've done a little poll. Um, let's see if I can get it up. And it's interesting how the poll worked out. Uh, it's very sort of simple. Oh yeah, here you go. I've got it here. Hang on. Right, okay, yeah. Right, get this. Hang on. look, I'll just show you the poll. I put it on my Facebook, and I thought, I'll just see how people react, and it is funny how people react. Um, right, let's have a look. I count myself in with that. I'm not any different. All right, let's get that up. I'm gonna just share the screen on that one. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, right. Okay, right. So I was invited to join the One World CE5 initiative group on Facebook. Okay, so I joined it, and I said, "Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it. Very nice of you." Uh, and because I am also interested in you know aliens and stuff like that. Of course I am. I've seen lights in the sky. I'm not a big. I can't say I'm crazy on the. I wouldn't. Kind of. I'm interested by it. I would read up on it. But cryptids, dogman. That's my thing, really. But yeah, I like the facts of aliens, and I've got my own observations on them. I've got my own thoughts on them, and so I put this I put this there because they saw me, and there was a few comments, and the comments were, "Oh, Dogman Teepee hunting, oh, on a UFO site. Oh yeah, we know about him. Oh yeah, yeah." Once again, the kind of like in a way, it's because you're either cryptid or you're either thing, but I like it a little both. I will keep my mind open to all aspects, no matter what the genre, keep it open. And so I put a little kind of question up, uh, a poll, and that is, oh, I better go back and just open up that question a bit more. Hang on. There you go. That's better. Right. Okay. You were walking down the road at night, hypothetical, so no Uber jokes. A radio for company. The radio crackles into a news flash. Warning. An unknown vehicle has been stopping, picking up hitchhikers, taking them to a lab room, and taking samples, poking them with needles, putting devices under their skin, wiping their memory, and a dose of PTSD may incur after they are dropped back off. The radio batteries go flat. At the same time, you think you see lights hovering on the road ahead. Now, you're a hitchhiker, you see lights ahead. Do you put your thumb out? And I posted it on the CE5 initiative group. And 50-50, 50-50, man. You know, that's kind of quite telling, really, for me. That was like quite telling. I was like, oof. Um, so yeah, that's it. I mean, would you? I don't know. Would you? Um, when it comes to animals talking, bottom line, I would say yes, and it's the interpretation that we have as a witness to it. I've heard talking. I myself have heard it auditory before in my life a few times, but it may not have been auditory. I like the video from the point of view of I captured something there. So it proves that that was auditory. That wasn't mind speak. That was something there. So play it back, have a little look. Okay, it's on my channel. Have a little look, play it back, earphones, earbuds, and then let me know what you think. Uh really enjoyed this week because it's been a bit more of a free form, really. I've kind of like taken in questions and kind of it's just been a bit more free formy, really. I've got other photos to show as well, um, but I'll stick those on for next week. Um, if you got any ideas for topics, I was going to cover next week hellhounds, black dogs. I've seen black dogs. I've actually videoed them. I got them on my video library. Black dogs, which I lump together in with witches. Okay, so I'm going to cover that witchcraft imps. Yeah, witches, imps. Which again, they came to the door. They were talking to me. They said, "Do a deal with Satan and renounce Satan." And there's a lot of misnomer when it comes to witches as well. There's a lot of things. I've done some quite detailed uh, referencing on it, and there is quite a misnomer. Yes, yes, Roxy B saying the black dog as well, large black dog. Um, we were out in the woods, and I was messing around with the dogs doing something. As she turned around, she saw, and it was impenetrable. This forest was like a lot of bits of forest, impenetrable. It was from the point of view of like you couldn't run for it because of the brambles and the twigs and the there, everywhere. So anyway, she was going through, and or something was going through. She saw something large and black going through it. I'll bring her up and she can tell you. Hold on, I'll bring her up. Hang on.
Hey,
Hello. Hiya. Do you want to do you want to just tell people blah 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 what you saw?
yeah, it was weird. I thought it was just somebody out walking their dog. It was a long way off, and I said to Phil, because we had our two dogs, and I said, "Watch out! There's a big dog over there." And just carried on walking, thinking it was someone with a dog. And yeah, a little while later, he's gone. He's gone. Yeah, you have seen a big dog. Yeah, I actually. Do you remember you were over the other side, weren't you?
I was. Yeah, I was over the other side, and uh yeah, with Roxy, she's quite logical. She's not like I am. I'm more in bed with conspiracies. I'm more in bed with kind of dogman cryptids, things like that. I'm already sold, she's not. She's not. She's more on the fence. So I was quite taken back when she told me, because she at the time she told me on the side. I was like, because my first question was, how big was it? And she
Yeah.
said it was, well, yeah. How big was it?
Well, that's the thing. I went perspective wise and looking at where it was and how big it would have been in reality, and it would have been up to my shoulder. It would have been a massive dog. Looking at how big it was in the distance to when I got there and looking, it would have been huge.
Can you give some indication of what the forest was like, what that part was like?
Um, it was a bit creepy, wasn't it?
It was a bit creepy, just to give
It was
people
a
an
bit
idea.
creepy. It was a patch of woodland that is a bit weird anyway, because it's up near the one of the bases, and it's like
Mm,
a patch of um wild land that is adjacent to farmland. So you've
mm,
got farmers' fields, and then you've got this patch of wild, back to nature area,
mm,
completely wild, that backs on to one of the bases. And then there's this like quite thick, um it was a weird area, the other side of the sort of wildland, and it was a little bit near houses as well. It's
mm,
quite near some houses,
yeah.
um, but it was very overgrown. It was quite sort of dark, wasn't it?
It was, and I noticed that I was busy. I think I was busy wandering up a little ridge, because there was a big structure. There was a big like tree that had gone over. Looked like it was a tree snap. about 4 foot up from the stump, and then once again branches collected and made into like a shelter, not bushcraft. And it was just an oddity. It was another oddity that I saw, but that's what took me away. Pardon me,
Mm.
that's what took me away. And I didn't, and this Rock's really witnessed on her own. And as I say, she sits on the fence. She's not,
Yeah, I
and,
mean,
and that,
originally I thought it was some dog that had got away from its owner. I was a bit worried about our dogs because
mm,
they are very yappy,
mm,
being terriers. And I just thought, well, if this dog comes close, being as big as it was, but I didn't think it was that quite that big as to when I got there and I was explaining to Phil how big this dog was. So
yeah,
yeah.
no, so
So did it look like a black German Shepherd? Um, I would have said a cross between that and a giant collie, but where they've got the pointed ears, it was quite shaggy looking. I think more shaggy than a German Shepherd dog. Um, but yeah, just a vast unit of an animal. Yeah, but undeniably, it was a dog. It was definitely a dog. Um, yeah, but it was very strange there.
yeah, yeah, no, it was. We'll have to try and get back there. Really, we'll have to try and take the dogs. Go again.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we should really go back. Um, might be lucky this time. Uh, you know. But anyway, thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right. And
have a good evening, people. I can't believe that these 2 hours have just flown past.
I know it is strange, isn't it?
And
It's like,
yeah, yeah, and if anybody has any stories about anything and they just want to message you, and if they want to come on and chat next week, maybe
mm,
about something.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's right. It's an open door, isn't it? It's an open door. So anyone that wants to come on, you can have 15 minutes. You can have longer if you want, but you can have 15 minutes, uh, and you can chat about your opinions or experiences. Okay, it's an open mic for you. It's a sounding board. It's somewhere where you can, without prejudice or anything like that. I've been quite honest with you, and I've uh, told you about stuff that's happened to me, and anyone that can look at my library, and Rox has told you stuff as well. So it's very easy to sort of say, right, you're seeing things, but you're hearing things. I would never ridicule, and I don't ridicule anyone or any witness. Very kind of understanding of that, because everyone is different. Everyone has their interpretation, but if you're willing to come on and you're willing to discuss it, then that means an awful lot. That's 60% of it being a bona fide story. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of because you're putting yourself out there. Isn't that
Do
right,
you
Rox?
remember that other forest we went to? That was quite a new forest, and the trees were really close together. Do you remember? There was on one side it was older, and there was like a deep ravine down, and you went down to look, and I went over to the new bit, which was slightly up,
Yeah, I do vaguely,
and
yes.
and the trees were really tight, weren't they? And I went wandering in the new bit, and the trees are sort of like about that thick, but
Yeah,
very compact in. And that
yeah.
thing that went rushing past just a
Mm,
few tree lines away from me,
yes,
super through.
yeah,
It was difficult to navigate, and this thing just went shooting across.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I do remember
And
that
I
because
couldn't explain what that was. I didn't even, it was like one of those, you just caught a glimpse and it was gone.
mm,
It was so quick.
yeah. Because I mean, I've seen deer go through like people out. I've seen deer go through a forest, and they're
Yeah.
kind of in a jumping motion. Um, but the things that you've seen are kind of like not in that jumping motion. They're kind of like just more linear, going straight across, and the way you describe it. And I've seen Dogman Type 3 move at a distance like that when I was with the dogs. I was in the wood right near to where I am at the moment, one of my favourite woods, and where I took the recording, funny enough, the audio recording that I've got to edit out. But yeah, and they just moved like the brambles, nettles, and brush were like nothing to them. I would be going arse over tip. I really would. I'd be a wipeout totally with me. I could never, go through that. Oh, got Vic. Hello, Vic. How you doing, mate? You all right? Oh, where are we? How did I bring you up? Oh, how you doing, Vic? Glad you could make it, mate. Yeah, so I could never go that fast in such thick undergrowth, and they move in a certain sort of manner, don't they, Rox? They kind of
Oh my
move in
God.
a
I
kind of
mean, it was. Oh, I've never seen anything move that quick. I mean, I've seen deers. I've seen deers run, and you know they're there. You actually see them. This was something else. This was almost out of the corner of your eye, but in front of your face. I don't know if that's making sense to anyone at all. But
yeah.
it was so quick. You only realised something had gone when it wasn't there anymore. It was just ridiculously fast, and in the way that was, even a deer couldn't have got through that quick because the trees were just.
Oh,
It wasn't
where are you?
possible.
There you go. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no worries.
Yeah. No. Yeah, no, that's right. No, you're completely right. These things can negotiate the terrain. Well, they're just like absolutely incredible. It's like it's nothing to them. They can morph out. Very often they just morph out like the predator style into the background. And
And
whether it's
just
light
gone.
manipulation, I don't know. Light manipulation, but they're like I spoke a couple of weeks ago. These entities, these Dogmen Type 3, anyway, the predator styly ones, the ones with the big claws, the big muzzle, they emanate this feeling of they can emanate this feeling of fear, which people pick up on. And funny enough, it's not a flight fear. They don't automatically turn around and run. They just stop dead like a deer in a car headlights, and they have to witness them. And it's like, yeah, they're most incredible thing to witness. Even with your witnessing of it, because you've seen sort of this dark figure, the way you describe it, just rushing through this forest. And a lot of times the way the trees are laid out, they're laid out because on purpose, man-made. They're very close together in sections, like in Rendlesham Forest. It's the same as sections of Rendlesham Forest, which is laid out in long lines. You can see the trees going in this long line all the way down, because they're planted that way. But they are very close together, like you said, which makes it very difficult to negotiate that terrain.
Yeah, no, it would. I mean, even a person would have trouble, and this thing was bigger than me. Most things are bigger than me, aren't they?
Yeah.
Being only 5'2", one of the Oompa Loompas.
Yeah. You'd be good at the Easter Bunny rabbit hole, though. You'd be all right with that rabbit one. Yeah. Let's have a look.
Interesting.
Yeah, people saying their hair is made of fiber optic. Funny enough, oh, Rick says hello as well. Yep, hello, Donia. Now, Rick is one person to ask about that, because he has a theory along these lines of it being a light if I remember rightly, photonic. I think Rick was talking about photonic technology, where photons normally don't have mass, travel incredibly fast, obviously, because they carry light. Them and tachyons, but um, but they don't. They're massless. But there is a element to them of photonic, which means they have a certain amount of mass. They can hold mass, which would, if that's right, and it's no longer a theory, I'd have checked this, because me and Rick go back a little ways, quite a long ways actually now, don't we, Rick? And we had our own kind of, in the early days, we were just bashing things around. We were kind of arguing the point. But which is a good thing. It's a healthy thing to do. It's not, so long as it doesn't get personal. I think it's a good thing to argue stuff over, because that's the way we get results. That's the way we get answers. If you don't agree with something, that's fine. Argue it. Bring to the table something else, and maybe that something else will bounce off that person you're arguing with, and you'll come up with, something which is more valid, something which is there. But no, we've got a healthy respect for each other now, Rick and myself. But yeah, he's got quite a few ideas which are very cutting edge. Put it away, very cutting edge. What else have we got here? Oh yeah, they're gliding. Yeah. That's exactly the way that it seems to be they're traveling. They look like they're gliding through the most impossible terrain. I remember being in a wood nearby, and I got it on video. And this wood is kind of, the path was blocked by a tree, just fell. So I had Ruby, and Ruby's very much a princess. She won't really get her paws muddy at all. So she liked the path, but the path was blocked by a tree. It wasn't just a case of a tree trunk that you could step over. It was a big tree just falling over. It wasn't like that a couple of weeks before, but these things happen. It probably was, just falling down. I don't think so, because they do manipulate. If they know people are using that path, they will stop people using that path. If they know people are using that path, sometimes they will want people to have a log jam there. So anyway, I had to stop, and I had to pick Ruby up, which she enjoyed. Come on, that's right, pick me up now. And I had to carry her across some brambles onto another clear bit. And then I'd done the same with Baz. But as I was doing the same with Baz looked round, and he was barking. Towards the back of him, and it's then that I saw these two, well, they look like triangles, black triangle bodies on top of these like massive legs in the distance, but there's two of them, and they were traveling. They saw me, I saw them looking. I got my camera. As soon as I got the camera, they then traveled, and they went quick as just stupidly quick through this thick, brambly, thorny forest floor. Stupid quick. And that's the same forest that I saw the black dog as well. Black hound. That's a quadrupedal on all fours hound. And I got a video of that and photographs of that as well, which I'll show if we still talk about it next week. Remember, if people want to come on, you can use MBT. I'm going to say that because I can't say the whole word. It sounds like it's Russian. Acoustic optic effect is another theory on the cloaking. Okay, acoustic optic effect. Yeah, that sounds like there's a word, cymatics. Is that, am I right? Is that off the top of my head? Cymatic technology. That is where people are able to put sand and water on a platform, and then there is sound directed towards it, and it forms patterns. Some symmetry is caused by these cymactic patterns, and very beautiful symmetry. There's one chap, I believe he's in America, who does the same using cymatic technology, if I remember rightly, and he makes pictures. Anyway, he done his picture, and he made one, and then he made another, and he made another, 3 in total, and all different sort of patterns. Until he had the idea of laying one on top of the other, and guess what he came up with? A face, a perfect person's face. And when you think about that and take the time to think, these are individual cymatic drawings, or not drawings. No one's drawn them. They're formed by the frequency of the music, or not music even. The frequency of the sound projected at the plate causes the medium. In this case, I think it was a type of chalk or sand, maybe, or something, which caused a pattern on the paper, which was able to be impregnated or kept. It's all from memory. My memory is not great, but and three of those pictures put together caused an absolutely spot on face. When you see it, you're like, wow, really? And
Oh,
he
that's really interesting.
yeah, it's incredible rocks. It's like I was absolutely. I've got some material on that.
Mm,
Yeah, so that's another thing. It's like,
yeah.
oh,
I've just actually seen the time.
oh, healthy debate. Yeah, it's getting on. Listen, guys, thank you for joining. It's been a bit of a funny one this week, but it's been good. It's been a bit of a free for all, isn't it? You know what I mean? We've sort of touched upon this and touched upon that, and you know, we've mentioned a bit about Mind Speak. We'll mention it again next week. I'm gonna my subject I'm gonna bring up is witches, hellhounds, the old folklore. Let's get back to a bit of folklore. Um, and it's in roundabout way with the witches and imps. Kind of it'll hopefully gel together with this week's one as well, because the imps used to talk to the witches. So yeah,
Oh.
let's take it as being that.
When we're
Um,
looking forward, aren't we, to another bank holiday in the beginning of May, with all the maypoles and the dancing, and that's only a couple of
yes,
weeks off. So looking towards that, that's quite interesting.
yes, we're going to. Um, uh, there's a lady on Facebook called Layla Green, and she's holding a Canadon, which is near Southend-on-Sea. She's holding a like a maypole dance and festival there. So yeah, I'll be going down, and Roxy B as well. We're both going down. Hopefully take the dogs as well. Hopefully that'll be good for them. And so you may see me dancing around the maypole. If you do see me down there, come up, say hello. You know. So you'll find it. It's on events on Facebook, or it's on my profile. Have a look at my profile. Scroll down a bit, and you'll see the event there. So you're more than welcome. I mean, I'm not the part of the event. I'm not getting anything out of it, but just it's a nice place to go. I think for May Day. We kind of should keep up the tradition of these things. And maypoles, yeah, I'm going to give it a dance round. Why not? I'll flick my gammy leg round there. It's a lot better now as well.
Lots more flicking to go.
Yeah, lots more flipping to go. Barry King said humans made greys for reptilians at Peasmore Base, unless human made, the reptilians, as Rick says, unless human made the reptilians. Okay, yeah. Do you know what? Is that a subject you'd like me to touch upon? because I have got a lot of like with Rick, uh, we do dive in quite sort of. We do our homework, you know. So I've got a lot of background information on the different types of reptilians, supposed bases, and stuff like that. Let me know what you want me to cover. Give me good time. So, like, message me this weekend, and that will give me enough time next week to get it all sorted out and put into some kind of context, so it's a bit more fluid. You know, I'm trying to make the show as fluid as possible. And also, you know, if anyone comes on, I think next week I should have Luis Sanchez on. He
Oh,
did say he
cool.
wanted to come on, so that'd be nice to have him on again.
Yeah.
And his mother was a black witch, so that might gel quite nicely.
Interesting.
Yeah. Witches worship cryptids. That's why they have covens in the woods. Okay, yeah. Witches in themselves don't uh, have any power. Okay. Witches themselves utilize power from earth energies and energies around them. They're a conduit for energies. That's what they are. You often get with because it's maid, mother, crone. That's because the energy is flowing through them, and you see the hooky nosed crone at the, you know, when they're really old, the archetypal kind of. But a lot of times this does happen. It takes its toll on them physically, um, because they're used as a conduit. So it does take their toll. There is certain things which they can use. There's certain rights that they can use to keep their youth. I know of some that they do use to keep their youth. Not pleasant, but you know, they do. You know, some do, but they're more darker witches. But as we got, we can. But yeah, with cryptids, yeah, they do. They you know, they've got a healthy respect. You should have a healthy respect for cryptids, really. You know, because I do, you know, believe that they are kind of the foot soldiers, if you like. You know, they're Earth's natural foot soldiers. Dogman are. They're kind of um, everyone in my book. Everyone's, you know, come down, you aliens. You know, yeah. But we don't. We've always had not good interactions with aliens. We haven't had good interactions. I think we should be cautious about the come down business. Um, I really think we should be cautious. Uh, you know, and I think if there is going to be anything, which I would rather be on
Interesting.
the side of Dogman than I would Alien, put it that way. But Vican said the Earth's crust produces negative charge. Yeah, okay. The global atmospheric current produces positive charge falling to the Earth. It may be that somehow they are harnessing this environmental electricity. Check out last week's episode, Friday Night Files. Rick, I went into great detail about torsion fields. Okay, what you need to have a look at is torsion fields. Last week's one, and I went into great detail. I've got a lot of detail on torsion fields. Okay, it has been used. It's a anti-gravity, also used in anti-gravity devices. Um, closely also aligned with the Earth and with ley lines, like the Michael and Mary line running from Devon, Cornwall, all the way up to North Norfolk, that way, but hitting every single monument mound of note on the way. Very powerful landlines. But I can cover that as well. Anyone that wants to hear more about a chosen subject,
Yeah,
ley
just
lines.
on that, and just before we go, because I'm mindful of the time now. User NBT is interested in werewolf trials, witchcraft trials, and 17th century Europe.
Okay, right, yeah, all right, that's fine. Yeah. Werewolf trials. Yeah, witchcraft trials, they're very interesting. There's a lot of misconceptions about witchcraft trials. The case of witches being dunked, you know, floated they were guilty, and if they drowned, they weren't. That and being burned at the stake, not really, not until later times. You know, we're talking sort of after 1648. Uh, After about 1648, yes, they did in Ipswich. There was a famous one, but it wasn't common at all. Mostly it was all hangings. But yeah, I can cover that. I can cover that next week. I've got quite a knowledge now on witches. I've got a
Yeah,
healthy respect for witches
you've
as
been
well.
doing quite a lot of research, haven't you, at the moment
I have,
into
yeah.
that period?
Yeah, I found it very interesting. I've got a healthy respect. You know, with witchcraft, got very healthy respect. You know, I've got a lot of respect for them. You know, they do a good job, believe it or not.
Right, and I think we should be saying bye because it's getting
Excellent.
late.
Listen,
The sun
people.
has gone to bed.
Okay. Right. I'm going to say tatty bye. I'll let Rox close down. Thank you very much for
Good
joining me
night.
once again. Yep. And then if anyone wants any treasure, just let us know. Let us know in the messages, okay? And then if I'll take the majority vote, and whatever you guys want majority wise to hear about and talk about and discuss. If anyone wants to come on, let me know. Okay. All right. I'm out of here. Thanks, Rox.
Good night. Good night, everyone. It's a brilliant night. Hope you have a brilliant rest of the bank holiday. See you. Bye.